doesn't matter what camp you're in, at some point in time, the things you're learning in that camp aren't going to work.
What's your take now as far as the nutrition portion?
The only thing that matters is what's working for you. There is nobody that can tell you what is best for you.
Or if what you're doing is working for you, then who is anybody else to criticize? Yes.
And that's the other thing too. Someone may yell at so-and-so for doing protein powder on Carnivore. Maybe that person was doing French fries last week.
Right.
We all should know by now how important it is to get in enough protein. I talk about this all the time. An excellent way to add in some additional animal-based protein with a full amino acid profile is with Equip Prime Protein. This is the one I love. This is the one I recommend. Every scoop has 4 ounces of super collagenous grass-fed beef. Use the code Carnitarian and you'll get 15% off your first order over at Equip Food.
Hey, everybody. Today, we've got one of my favorites, my absolute favorites. Coach Bronson Dant is here with us today to discuss some things. Specifically, you have a new book coming out.
I do. Very serious topics. We can't have any fun. This is going to be super serious and deep and, yeah.
Yeah. So
Nitty-gritty.
I've been on your YouTube channel before, but you've not yet been on mine. So this is super fun for me. And I'm so excited that you are officially my first guest.
I am honored. I had no idea this was your first ever interview for anything other than doing an Instagram thing or something like that. So this is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for
welcome.
this.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for agreeing to come on. So I'm super pumped up about this episode. So we'll see.
Let's do it.
So let's do it. All right. So tell us about the book. The book is called Body Confident.
Yep.
This is coming out in fall of 2024 this year. And now I know that you are now like a 5-year carnivore, but this is not a carnivore book. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct. It is not a carnivore book. It is a let's get everybody unstuck book. That's what it is. We were just talking to video editors, and one of the things I was talking to the person apparently that we share to do our video editing about some of the concepts I want to start pushing in the branding and the messaging of the videos that we put out in the descriptions and thumbnails and things like that. And one of the biggest targets, the biggest message I want to get people to understand through the book is it doesn't matter what camp you're in. At some point in time, the things you're learning in that camp aren't going to work. You have to learn how to go. You have to learn how to be a traveler on the journey and stopping in one spot, thinking that one spot's going to work for the rest of your life.
Wow. I love it.
That's really what the message of the book is, we've all done it. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it, where we find something, it works for us. And then and while we're just getting into it, everyone should be doing this. This is amazing. It's so transformative. There's this, everybody should do this. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But as we mature in the process, particularly for those of us that are in coaching, I've been a coach for 12 years, the more I've gone through this cycle, because I did the same thing when I first started doing CrossFit. Right? When I first started doing CrossFit, oh my God, CrossFit's amazing. Everybody has to do CrossFit. And then 12 years later, CrossFit's great, but there's some other things that can be done using the principles of why CrossFit is great without having to do CrossFit. Right? There's
so
principles
you get these
behind,
eureka moments.
Yeah, there's the principles of why these things are working that transcend the labels we put on them.
I love it.
And that's what the book is about.
It's incredible because I too have personally experienced that, where what you're working on, what you thought was going to be it and has to be it, is no longer it for you.
Yeah,
it's something else.
Yeah.
And when you can realize that so many things happen, right? Not just for you, but for your clients, you realize they can have this world opened up to them of flexibility where there's other things, and it makes you a better coach. And it makes them more successful because not one thing is going to work for everybody, right?
Absolutely. Because just looking at one person, if you're listening, just looking at your own journey as an individual, where you started is different than where you are today. So the things that you needed when you started are not the same things that you need today. So if
Absolutely.
that's one person's journey, and the things you need today are not going to be the things you need 3 years from now. So just that's your individual journey. As a coach, I'm dealing with hundreds of people who are all at different points. So for me to come out and say this is the one thing that's going to work for everybody is disingenuous, is wrong at best, disingenuous at worst, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
it's understanding the reasons why things work and the reasons why things don't work. That's where you find the ability to coach yourself through the journey. And that's what the book is about. The book is explaining these are the core, basic, fundamental, foundational things that we need for nutrition, for our mindset, for fitness, in order to understand how to make decisions, how to filter information, how to listen to the Carnitarian and say, that's something I can use, or she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm not going to use that right now.
Right.
Or
What
she
to
knows
leave
what she,
there and what to
right.
take for
Or
yourself.
she knows exactly what she's talking about. And that's great information, but it's not applicable to me right now.
Right.
And unfortunately, too many people hear something from an expert and automatically think, well, they're an expert. They said this is the way, so I have to do it that way. And now we're stacking all of these the bests on top of each other, and not everything
Yes.
can be the best, guys.
It gets very confusing for
Yeah.
people too when they're doing that.
Yeah.
They don't know who is right, who's the more right,
Yeah,
you know?
right. What's the best way to do it? I
Yeah.
don't understand.
The betterer way. So, is this what you're calling, like, your method? I
Mhm.
hear you use this term, the F2 method.
Yeah.
Does that tie into the methods that what you're basically explaining in the book? Is
Yeah,
that
that's basically it. The F2 method is the method that I've developed over the past several years in trying to kind of put together the process of where do we start in the process? What are the things that we have to make sure we can say? What are the questions that we have to answer yes to along the way? And then how do we build from there? Whether it's looking at information we hear on social media or online, or whether it's researching something and trying to make a decision for what I want to do next in my journey.
right,
Are these things being covered, the foundations, the basics being covered in that process, instead of just jumping to the extreme of I have to, I've got all these issues. I'm going to take these two supplements for $700 a month, and I'm going to start cold plunging and doing red light therapy every day, and then forget that, oh, I need to get sleep. Oh, I need enough protein. Oh, I need to exercise regularly. Right.
yes,
Everybody's jumping to all these little things over here, these distractions, and not answering yes to the basic questions,
right.
right? Am
This
I looking at things that apply to my life? Am I picking options that I can actually accomplish and sustain? Or am I jumping too far across the line?
this
Right?
all reminds me of those Pick a Path books that we used to read
Yes.
as
Oh my
kids,
God. Beautiful. That is
right?
absolutely what it is.
And
Yes.
you have to start at the beginning of that book. You can't just jump to page 57 and find out the ending, because that path, that little bit of path may not be your path and get you to your ending. You may have to take a different path to get
You
to
just
that
blew
ending.
my mind. That is freaking amazing. Yes. 100%.
I think people can really relate to those books. I feel like we all grew up on them. Am I
Yeah.
dating myself? We all grew up on those
Choose
books.
your own adventure. Yeah.
And you have to get that base down and get through the first few chapters. You can't just skip ahead.
Yep.
I love
Although
that
I got to be
you've got
honest,
this flow chart thing kind of going.
yeah, I got to be honest. When I was a kid, I used to get those books from the library and then just go read all the endings first.
Would
But
you
you
reverse
can't.
engineer your
But you,
path?
I did. I totally did because that's just how my brain works. But you can't do that in real life. When we're talking about your health journey, it doesn't work that way. Sorry.
If only. Yeah, if only you could do that. I know where I'd like to end up. So
Yeah,
yeah, sure. Let's
exactly.
reverse engineer that life. So in the book, I started reading. You gave me a nice little preview of the book.
Hmm.
You mentioned the three legs of the stool, and I
Yeah.
thought it would be great if we could go over those, because these three things are what's going to hold up your whole situation and make your fitness journey sustainable and
Hmm.
doable, right? So let's
Yeah.
go over what those are.
Well, I think I just might have mentioned them a second ago.
Oh, okay.
Mindset, fitness, and nutrition. If you don't have something in
Okay.
place for each of those three things, um, you're either not going to be doing the things that you need to be doing, or you're not going to sustainably and consistently do them. It's one or the other.
Understood.
So
Okay.
it's not just about I'm doing all the things, it's about are you doing the right things? Are you doing all the things consistently? Right? So all of those things come together, and if you don't have an understanding of what the process and expectations are, if you don't understand yourself and what your motivations are, if you don't have a reason to or a reason not, a reason to move forward or a reason to not to stay where you are,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not going to take action and you're not going to be consistent. If you don't understand what the minimum requirements of nutrition are, if you don't understand what the minimum requirements of fitness are, then you're going to make wrong choices along the way and you're not going to be doing things effectively that are going to move you forward. So
Understood.
that's what we're talking about. There has to be an understanding of why you're doing it. What are the things that are limiting you in your own belief? So developing self-awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding where you're going and having a plan and being willing to measure your progress towards that plan as you implement the basics of nutrition and the basics of fitness.
Okay. So you brought up a lot of really great points there that I want to touch on. The first
Yeah.
one being the self-awareness
Yeah.
and the belief system
Mhm.
that I find, and maybe you see this a lot, people come to you with these beliefs that hold them back. They say, well, Bronson, I'd love to do such and such, but I know I'm never going to be able to do such and such.
Yeah.
Or I've got this diagnosis, and because of that, I'm sure this is just not in the cards for me, such and such.
Mhm.
So how do you deal with people who have those limiting beliefs
Mhm.
where their minds are kind of closed off to the possibilities of what might be available to them if they get these three things
Yeah.
working for them?
Yeah. Everybody has to come to a crossroads at some point. At some point in time, you have to face the disconnect between your reality and your identity. Now, here's the challenge. If you are currently identifying with your reality, then and you're not happy with that, something about your reality, something about your identity isn't where you want to be. Something is saying I don't like this. Then what's happening is it is you're starting to sprout the seeds of a new identity. And what we have to do is we have to water that. We have to water that identity. That you've got to see there something is happening. Something is welling up inside of you saying, I don't like where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
And you have to foster that growth. So the more you can visualize, what is it I don't like about my life? What is it I'm trying to get rid of? What is it that's limiting me right now? You don't have to think about 5 years from now necessarily. We talk a lot about what is your why. Why do you want this? Sometimes the why not is more powerful. Why don't you want
Interesting.
the things you have in your life right now? Why don't you want to have to deal with aches and pains every time you get up in the morning, the $900 medicine bill, the being unable to walk up and down the stairs without help, not being able to go and garden in your backyard or just cut your grass once a week. There's tons of things that people are living with that they just wish they didn't have that was limiting their ability to live their life.
Mm.
So if there's something in your life right now that you're like, hey, I don't want this, what is the opposite of that? Start picturing your life if that wasn't in it. If I could go out and cut my grass once a week, if I could go in the backyard and play with my grandkids, if I could walk up and down the stairs without help, how would my life be different? How would I feel about myself? What would my individual freedoms look like? How more confident in my ability will I be? And that's what the book is about. That's what body confidence is, right?
Mhm.
Body confidence has nothing to do with how we look.
Right.
It has
It's
everything to do with what we can do.
what we can do, the functionality of our
Yeah.
body, right?
Yeah. And it's not even just what we can do. And here's the kicker. This is the fun part. It's knowing what we can do. It doesn't happen without the evidence. So in order to be body confident, you have to show yourself that you can do it. So you can't be body confident if you haven't faced a challenge first.
Understood.
It has to be hard,
It's a challenge. It sounds like
right?
you are challenging everyone to really, like, what do they say? To be your best
To be
self.
your best self.
Be your
Absolutely.
it's a
Body
challenge.
yeah, and I don't know if I actually have this in the book. because I got a lot of the concepts of what I wanted to impart as far as, you know what, I do think I did put it somewhere in the book, at the last minute, right before we went to publishing, or to getting everything up in the system. Body confidence is the freedom to engage in life because you trust your body to perform and protect you,
I mean, that's fantastic.
right? You
That's
can't
fantastic because who's there for you other than you at the
100%.
end of the
Yes,
day?
absolutely.
And you have to know that you are going to be there for you. When it
Yep.
hits the fan, you have to be capable.
Yep.
And I love that this is what you want to foster in people.
Absolutely. Because I've learned in myself, I've learned through watching a lot of my clients. I said this a couple years ago and it didn't really hit me until sat down and thought about it. I was like, I just said that. Let me think about this for a second. And it was like, I kind of said it flippantly. And then I went back and I think it was on a client call or something. I went back and watched the video and was like, wait, hold on a second. Fitness and nutrition is easy. It's the mindset stuff that's hard.
It's the mind, right?
I
That's
can
harder
give
to train someone in.
anybody a nutrition plan or a macro plan. I can give anybody a workout plan. I could write up a workout plan for you for the next 6 months right here in 30 minutes. No big deal. Have a
Right.
blast, right? That's not the problem. Everybody's worried about what's the right macros, what's the right electrolyte balance, what's the right best workout. Should I work out fasted? Should I not work out fasted? How much cardio should I do? How much weight should I lift? What's the best rep range for hyper? Who
Mhm.
cares?
It's not the bulk of the work.
Are you
That's
gonna
right.
show up and do it? That's what matters,
And that's what's in your head.
and that's all in your
Yes.
head.
And maybe that's why people want to focus on the details because those
Ooh.
details allow you to sort of ignore the bigger picture.
Say it again. Say it again.
The details,
Exactly.
yes, allow you
Exactly.
to not really focus on the larger issue of mindset.
And that's why I call it distractions. That's one of the reasons
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily against biohacks, but I play them down as much as possible because I think for the majority of people on the journey, biohacking is the biggest distraction. There's so much money and marketing and hype around all the different biohacks out there. And really, people, you just need to eat more and build some muscle. That's
Oh,
it. That's it.
I so believe in that.
Right.
I mean,
That'll
I'm all
solve 90% of your problems.
right.
Just eat more and build muscle. It's
Building
not
muscle is
hard.
just a huge one for me. We could have a
Yeah.
whole separate conversation just about how much protein people should be eating versus what they are eating
Mhm.
and how important gaining that muscle
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. So when people put up resistance to this mindset part
Mhm.
and they have these beliefs and you say to them, go dig deeper and find, in your mind the alternate reality that you want to have and focus on that, envision that, and they say, okay, sure, yeah, I'll envision it, but it's still never going to happen. How do you snap them out of that? But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't. But my this, my that.
I think the biggest thing is getting them to take some action, even at the smallest amount possible. So, okay, so let's say worst case scenario, you work with me for 6 months and you don't think anything's gonna happen. First of all, why are you signing up with me in the first at all? So
Well, there's a seed.
you can
Yeah,
say that, right? But there's something that made you say, "Hey, coach, I wanna
yeah.
work with you."
There you go.
So, you're not 100% bought into it's not gonna work for me. 'Cause
I
you're
love it.
willing to give it a shot. So
There you go.
if that action is there, if you're doing that step, then let's take it another step and let's say, what's the one thing, the smallest thing that you're willing and able to do right now that will help you move forward? Let's just worry about that. We're not gonna change a bunch of things. We're not gonna go extreme. We're not gonna, have you take a running jump across that comfort zone line.
Mhm.
But here's your comfort zone. Let's take one step over the line. And let's
Just
see how you
moving
deal with
towards.
that. Just get across the line a little bit.
I love it.
And once you do that one time, evaluate what happened. Evaluate how much resistance was that as hard as you thought it was? Probably not. Did you notice
Mhm.
a difference? Maybe, maybe not. But that's one of the reasons why we have process-oriented goals and results-oriented goals. Sometimes you need to set a goal just to do the thing, whether you see a result or not, because you trust the process and you know that if I keep doing this thing, at some point it
Mm,
has to kick in,
I understand.
right?
So
So
being consistent with it, even if you're not seeing right away.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, you've been consistent not doing it and it hasn't gotten you anywhere.
Maybe we try something new
Let's try something new,
for
right?
a
Yeah.
while. That's great. That's awesome. So let me ask you this. When you see people and they start to, they buy into it, like they believe and they've got their fundamentals down. Do you feel like people who get on this journey succeed in other places of their life? I mean, or is it like vice versa? Are people who are like high achieving people in other areas the ones who come to you because this is the area that's lacking? Or do you see just generally people who they start with fitness and then all of a sudden they're more successful in other areas of their life and things just start getting better in other areas? Like what type of person are you generally managing?
That's a really good question.
Like,
I
I'm
think
wondering,
there's
like,
a
which
lot.
comes first? Which confidence comes first? Like, I'm a successful person and I just have this missing piece, or do you think like I'm not very successful and if I can just get the body confidence thing down and then they do and then the world opens up.
Yeah, so I would say that body confidence is the key to opening up the world. And here's why. Here's a part of this. I don't know if this as I'm going to be thinking through the answer to this question as I'm saying it. So there's a lot of people that I work with that are very successful in business who use their work ethic to cover up their lack of confidence.
Oh,
Okay?
uh-huh.
When it comes to themselves, they have a lot of internal work that they have to do. They can work a project to completion, make a ton of money in business, right? But when they try to see success in themselves, it's harder because they have to face their own challenges that they have to fix. We have a
Mhm.
project at work. We tell other people what to do. We challenge other people to change. We challenge other people to do things that need to get done. When we're working on ourselves, it's just us.
That harsh reality of
That
it's
hard, so
just
right? So it's a
you.
whole different conversation.
Right.
So it's not the same. And I think for a lot of people that I work with, this is and if, for anybody that's listening, it may be a coach. I guarantee you've had this conversation with yourself or with other coaches where you just kind of scratch your head and you're like, this person is a CEO of a business. They make millions of dollars a year. I'm using just an arbitrary example, and they can't track their food for a week.
Right.
You're like, "What? Hold on a second. Like, I don't understand this." But because there's a mental block when it comes to doing things for ourselves and moving
Absolutely.
ourselves forward. So, yes, I think if you can get through the self-improvement aspect that improving your health and developing true body confidence is gonna require, it will translate into every aspect of your life because now you're not masking who you are, now you're confident in who you are. And
Mm.
that's a whole different perspective of how you approach everything else in life.
That's incredible. It's really very interesting. And then so what's your take now as far as the nutrition portion? Where is your mind in terms of what people should be eating, fueling
Whatever's
themselves
Yep,
with?
yep, yep.
What's your best advice, generally, and how much does it differ from person to person?
It differs a lot from person to person. Well, okay, this is a nuanced conversation, and I actually just did a video on this. I don't know if you saw my YouTube yesterday? What's today? Today's Thursday. Yesterday, posted a
Mm.
video, titled "Carnivore is not for everyone." If you're
Yes, I saw a
struggling
clip
on
of this.
carnivore,
I
right?
didn't see the whole video.
And that's kind of the crux of what the conversation in that video is about. It is the only thing that matters is what's working for you. So depending on where you're coming from and depending on where you're trying to go, that should be the determining factor in what you try to do for your nutrition. There is nobody that can tell you what is best for you. There are people who are making a lot of money and gaining a lot of influence and notoriety for saying what they think is the best for all human beings, which is great because here's the thing, it gives us something to shoot for, right? We can look at the
Okay.
science and say, hey, it's very likely that this combination of things is probably the best absolute way that we could eat. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. I'm not doing that. I like ice cream. I like potatoes, whatever it may be for an individual person. I
Right.
like Brussels sprouts. I like sweet potato fries, whatever,
Right.
right? The question is, if you look at nutrition as a net positive or net negative equation, every choice you make, you get to decide if you're putting money in the bank or taking money out. Your call. Totally up to you.
Right. And the goal is to end up in the green.
The goal is to end up in the green. The goal is to end up in having money to spare, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. And I realized this hit me really hard a couple of years ago, maybe about 2 years ago. I was sitting on my couch looking out the window. Actually, not even 2 years ago. Holy crap, because it was when we moved here, which is just about a year ago. So about a year ago, I was sitting on my couch looking out the window. We got a ceiling to wall to see floor to ceiling living room windows and we're in a skyscraper, a tall building, a tall apartment. So I'm looking out over the city. It's like, this is awesome view. The sun's coming up and everything. And it just hit me like, I'm here. I'm not healing anymore. I'm not working towards this goal that I've had stuck in my head of I'm trying to lose fat. I'm trying to improve my fitness. Like, I'm here. Like, I don't have any physical ailments. I am 100% physically independent and I can do anything that I decide that I want to do from a physical perspective. Um, I'm at a healthy body fat percentage. For a long time, I was chasing super lean, right? I was trying to stay 10% or less body fat for a long time. And at some point realized, why am I doing this? This is way too much work. I can be
Right.
healthy. I can be healthy and happy at 15, 16%, right? I think right now I'm running 17, 18% and I'm having a blast, right? I love it.
I love it.
And I was sitting on the couch looking at the sunrise and it's like, I don't need to count I don't need to count my macros anymore.
It's so
I don't need to
freeing.
track because I'm not trying to do like I'm just trying to live my life and be happy. If I want to go out Saturday morning and go to brunch and have some hash browns, I can do that. I know what the impact of those hash browns is going to be on my body. It may not be good every time,
Right.
right? It may kick me back into when I was having bowel issues,
Right.
but I understand that it's my choice. And as long as I know, you know what, I'm not going anywhere this weekend. I'm going to be at home. I'm going to be at home all weekend. So Saturday morning, I'm having some potatoes, then so be it. But that's
Right.
my choice to make. Now, if I know that I'm going on a road trip Saturday, I'm not having potatoes. I can tell you that, right?
Right.
But that's my freedom. That's my choice. And I think that's where people need to get from a nutrition perspective and understand that, yes, there is a target, right? If we look at nutrition as a target, it's a bullseye in the middle, would be the optimal way everybody needs to eat. Air quotes, needs,
Right.
right? What we as a society would say is probably the most optimal, right? Animal ruminant meat, electrolytes, plenty of fat, plenty of protein. Got everything you need, right? Maybe some sea fish and oysters every once in a while, right? And
Right.
depending on who you talk to, seasonal berries. Well, I don't know,
Right. It
whatever, right?
starts to the
It
circle
starts to
starts to
right, get
widen.
bigger, right?
Yes.
So that's if perfect is at the center, then
Mhm.
every label of nutrition is going to be somewhere else on the target. Every individual is going to be somewhere else on that target, not in the middle. Nobody's in the middle. I can guarantee you there's not a single
Nobody.
person in the middle of that target right now. Okay.
Yes.
Here's the thing. As long as we're all trying to move closer to the middle, then nobody can say anything to anybody else.
Right.
That's what
Or
matters.
if what you're doing is working for you, then
Exactly.
who is anybody else to
And that's the other
criticize?
thing too, right? So someone may yell at so and so for doing protein powder on carnivore. Maybe
Mhm.
that person was doing French fries last week,
Right. Right.
right?
You sort of have to at some point you
Who
have to stop and meet the person where they are, as you say.
exactly, right? Maybe that person was doing 2 pints of Ben and Jerry's 3 nights a week before that, and now they're doing some kind of shake a couple of nights a week to kind of replace that. That's awesome for that person. It's better than where they were. And if we can get out of the best and start talking about better, then so many more people are going to get helped in this community. And I will not be nearly as frustrated as I am sometimes watching
Yes.
comments and discussions on social media.
I feel this frustration oftentimes because I do carnivore and not in a perfect not in a lion diet way.
Hmm.
Not I have some other things. I have some
Sure.
tomato, and I always say I have some onion. Tomato and onion is not what got anybody in the
Right.
situation that they're in.
Yep.
And so for me, the sustainability of my way of doing what I eat works. If I were to if I would have somebody say to me, "No, you've got to do meat, salt, and water, and that's the only way to do the right perfect diet."
Mhm.
I would say, "Well, you know what? Here, I've got something for you. I'll see you never." And then I'd say, "You've given me no solutions, and now I don't know what to do. I'm
Right.
just going to default back to the easiest thing, which was Chipotle, a pizza, whatever everybody else is eating,
Mhm.
fast food junk, because you've given me no help here with all of your perfectionism. It
Exactly.
helps no one."
Nobody's perfect, so why are we trying to be?
Right. I agree. And
Let's
I
just try to
think
be better.
I think to your point, there is a little bit of disingenuous representation of what people are actually, what they're claiming that they're doing and what they're
Mm.
actually doing.
Ooh. All
Just
right.
saying.
Put it out there. Put it
I'm
out
just
there. Yeah.
saying. It's a little something. So let's talk for a second about aging, body confidence as we get older.
Okay.
Do you believe that there is a point where men or women, I speak mainly with women, but do you believe there's a point where we could say to somebody, that goal is a little bit too lofty? You're of a certain age. This is not going to really happen for you. Let's shoot a little bit lower in terms of physical capability or amount of weight you can lift, things like that.
So, I mean, I think that discussion could be had with anybody at any age, depending on if they set the goals realistically or not. So, realistic goals, I think, is something that is kind of learned through trial and error. Hey, I set my goal for this. That might have been a little bit too much. I can't sustain the things that I need to sustain in order for that to happen. Let's recalibrate the goals. As far as making a goal based on age, I do not think you need to do that. I think the goal should be based on capability and potential for growth and improvement. And I think at any age, there is capability and potential for growth and improvement. So it's a matter of evaluating the person and what are the things in their life they're trying to accomplish, and then what do we need to do to get them there.
I love that.
Age has nothing to do with it.
I love that. And I knew you would say it, but I wanted to hear it. And now at this point in your coaching and in, things that ways of working out that you've been studying for quite some time,
Mhm.
do you find that there's a specific type of training that you prefer people do? Is there like, I know you're a CrossFit guy, but would you say, I know you're not a cardio guy, but would you say that
Ooh.
there's or are you a cardio
Well,
guy?
so keep going with your question. I'll explain
And then,
why ooh did that.
okay. Is there something like, say, free weightlifting,
Mhm,
machine weightlifting, calisthenic training, yoga, swimming? Do you have
mhm,
a preferred method for people to sort of start when they don't have any
mhm,
kind of training
mhm.
background?
All right. So there's a couple phases to this. I'll break this down. And I think the first phase is anything that you're willing to do, do it. Doesn't matter. The habit has to come first. So if you can't establish the habit by doing something that you're ready, willing, and able to do and you enjoy, then it doesn't matter what other thing you try to add on top of that, you're never going to show up and keep doing it. So getting yourself to a point where you are consistently showing up to do something is step number one. And it doesn't have to be a lot. For some people, that's I'm going to walk up and down the stairs 5 times a day,
Hmm.
right? That could be all it is.
Something,
Something.
whatever you can do.
Something a little bit more. The easiest way to look at it is what are the things that are physically challenging right now? And then how can I make those things easy? That's
Ah,
it. Doesn't mean you have to go to you might not go to a gym for 2 years once you get started. You might be able to do everything at home because all you're trying to do is get up and down out of your chair without having to get help. Walk up and down the stairs. Do the laundry without having to have the kids bring it downstairs for you so that you can then load it up and then have the kids bring it upstairs so that you can put it away. Literally,
right.
that's where people are at, right?
Wow.
I saw a video the other day on Instagram that was so sad. It was and maybe some of you guys have seen this. There was an elderly man. It was a ring. You know how you got the ring videos on your doors,
Yes.
right? It was an elderly man going to his neighbor's house to ask them to open a jar for him,
Yeah. This is, I mean,
right?
this
Like
is
he
like,
couldn't open a jar. Like that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I don't want anybody to ever have to deal with. There
Right.
should be nothing that you have to do for yourself that you have to ask somebody else to do for you.
Right.
And if that's where you are right now in life, then figuring out how to make those things easy and able, and you get and make yourself able to do them, that's your fitness plan. It doesn't have to be a gym, it doesn't have to be a program, it doesn't have to be a trainer. Just the things that are hard, keep doing them until they're easy. That's step number 1, and show up consistently. At some point in time, you will get to a point where you need to graduate and start looking at what are the actual components of fitness and freedom of movement that I need to have a program or have that I'm incorporating in my life. Now, you can find a program that will incorporate all these things. CrossFit's a great one. There's other programs. I have some programs. Functional fitness is a general term for this type of program that
Mm-hmm.
includes strength training and endurance training and mobility and flexibility and coordination and balance and all these other aspects. We need to get all of these different things. These are all different things, all the different types of ways our body moves, bending over, pushing things, pulling things, carrying things. We need all of those things in our life at some point. Now, you can join a program that has all that stuff built in, or you could just participate in different activities. Maybe you go hiking, maybe you go gardening, maybe you get on a bike, right? Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
do Pilates, maybe you go lift some weights, right? So mix things up and do a multitude of different things. Variety, either in the choices of your activities or a program that includes the variety, is kind of the next step as far as making sure you're getting a well-rounded program altogether.
I love that. It's sort of like at some point, people choose to start saying, no, thanks. I'm fine. I'll just stay here. You go
Yeah.
ahead without me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the point when people start not trusting their bodies to do what everybody else's bodies are doing. And they
Yes.
sit on the sideline and say, I'm happy here. You go ahead. You're
Yeah.
young.
Yep.
You go
Lying
have
to yourself.
fun.
Yeah, it's not an age thing, it's a movement
Right.
thing.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the trap that is one trap I want to get people to understand to avoid is, I say different activities, a variety of activities is good. As long as you're doing those activities with the intent of getting better at doing those activities. Okay. One trap that I see a
The
lot of people getting
intent.
into is, well, I've been walking every day. I walk 5 miles every day. Okay, great. At what point are you going to do something different? Because
Mm,
walking 5 miles a day is great. Your body adapts to what we do. If we never do more or change the intensity or try to challenge ourselves in a different way, then it won't get better. It will
right.
start to deteriorate. Here's the thing. If we maintain activity and we never increase some level of intensity, the complexity of the movement, the weight, the time we're doing it, the number of reps, there's all different ways to increase intensity, then we start deteriorating in that performance.
It's fascinating.
If we're not progressing, there's no such thing as maintenance. I have a couple of videos on my YouTube
I
called
love that.
Maintenance is there's no such thing
Yes,
as maintenance. You're either progressing or you're going backwards.
I love that. Right. Because standing still, time's going to get you if you're just standing still doing the
Hmm.
same thing.
Yep.
It's like money in the bank. I love analogies. Can you tell?
Yeah. I'm the same way.
It's
This is
like
awesome.
money in the bank that doesn't grow is actually losing money because of inflation.
Bingo.
There you go. And so if you have a body that is not progressing, then you're actually losing functional fitness.
Yep.
Yeah, it's incredible. And the part about intent, do you believe that you get greater gains? There are those people that are like, I know this is good for me. I just hate every second of it though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they do it.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then there are the people who are like, I love it, but they don't do it perfectly,
Hmm.
or they do it intermittently, somewhat consistently, but they're focused and they believe that they are going to see some gains.
Yeah.
Do you find those people actually do get the gains that they believe in more than the people, even if they're doing the same work?
Yeah.
Do you believe that mindset controls more than
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
account for?
I don't know if there's any studies, and I'm not going to try to cite any studies or research on this topic, but in my experience, I would say that the people that are enthusiastic about the process put more into the process. And anytime you put more into the process, you will always get more out of it.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And then I guess one of the last things I want to ask you is about recovery,
Mhm.
because a lot of people, they say, I'm just going to work out all the time. They're like dead set on doing this fitness thing. They want to get in shape.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, well, I won't do 7 days a week. I understand, but I'm going to do 6.
Yeah.
I mean, what is your take on recovery? Are you a fan of doing things consistently based on, how much stress that puts on your body? The more stress, the more recovery you need. And do you prefer active recovery or like true rest recovery?
Oh boy. Active recovery can be a trap. We'll just say that, because a lot of people don't do active recovery properly. They do lower stress cardio as a
So they're not actually
replacement of active
recovering.
recovery, and that's not actually what active recovery is supposed to be for. Okay, recovery is the only way you get better. So yes,
This is where we grow.
it is very important. Without recovery, you can't fix anything. Doesn't matter what system we're talking about: immune system, cardiovascular system, musculoskeletal system, any physiological, biological, and neurological system. In order to improve it, you need to give it a break from stress at some point in time. So, yes, recovery is important. I'm glad you asked this question. 99.9% of my clientele are women over 40, and probably 70% of them, I have to have the talk them down out of the gym conversation,
Mm-hmm.
out of the cardio machines and out of the workouts and out of the hot yogas and out of the what is that new hot rocks,
Oh,
that new
hot
right
works?
hot works. Yeah, hot works. Got to talk about a hot works 4 days a week. They're doing hot works 4 days a week, trying to get 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. They're doing this, they're doing that. It's like guys, chill out. Okay. Here's the thing about over exercise. Outside of the havoc that it wreaks on your metabolism, because it never gives your metabolism a chance to function. Okay. When we're actively exercising, particularly with the intent of losing fat, because a lot of women exercise so much because they're trying to burn off all the fat. Okay.
Right.
That doesn't work. Number one. Okay. Not the way you think it does. It's not sustainable, we'll say. Activities that you're doing in order to lose fat are simulating proper metabolic function while you're doing the activity. The minute you stop, you are now dealing with metabolic dysfunction because you have not allowed it to recover.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So any benefit you think you're getting from doing all this training is actually working in the opposite, because you're not giving your body a chance to rest. You're going backwards.
And there's a lot of frustration that happens in that with that
Absolutely.
formula, because
Absolutely.
people are working so hard
Yeah.
and just overworking, and they
Well,
don't want to believe that they need to do less.
yeah. And then we have the add on top of it, we talk about allostatic stress load, right? We talk about the entire load of all the other stressors we have on our body, because our body gets stressed. You read the book, right? All three systems of function receive stress. Your neurology, your biology, and your physiology all get stressed by the things that we do, the environment around us, and what we think. So just the thoughts we have add stress. So the more we're worried about things, the more complex we make things in our lives, the more stress we add to our routine, the more we try to fit things into our schedule, the more drastic of changes we make in our fitness and nutrition. All of these
More
things are
stress.
adding stress and not giving us our body a chance to heal. So stepping back, the less you do with let me say it this way: the more focused you can be and intentional about what you're doing, the easier it will be to include adequate rest.
Understood. It's like efficiency.
Exactly. Be efficient.
Yes.
You don't
Right.
have to do it 8 days a week. You can work out 4 days a week, rest 3 days a week, and be absolutely fine. And you will notice better hormone control, less cortisol, better sleep. That's the biggest thing most women deal with, is they can't sleep because their
Mhm.
cortisol's up here all the freaking time, right? Cortisol blockers and all the different things that women are trying to do to get more sleep, right? Magnesium, all the different sleep hacks. So
Right.
I feel like every week someone's posting in my group, I can't sleep, I need help. And everybody's like, try this, try that, try
Try
it. It's
so
like
many magical
all the
remedies.
different things. Just chill out. That's probably the number one thing I could say to help you get better
Yes.
sleep. Just chill out.
I feel like I live by this. I always try to solve for like, best quality of life.
Mhm.
And going back to the nutrition piece, if adding tomato paste gives me better quality of life, gives me less stress, then I am doing better.
Yeah.
It's the stress is always just such a killer, and it's the sticking point that people feel like they can't control, but they really do have more control over their stress levels
100%
than they
control.
think they do.
100% control.
Right.
That do not if you're listening to this, do not fall for the lie that you are telling yourself that you can't control any of this. You are in 100% control of your stress factors. Now, people are like, but you can't be because this environment, things happen. Yeah, they do. How you respond to them determines your stress response.
Yes. If you participate.
It's not the
Yeah.
thing that happened that causes the stress. It's how we
Right.
respond to the thing that happened that causes the stress. So your response dictates your stress level.
Right. And everybody could use a little bit of less stress. And
Sure.
it takes a real mindset shift to be able to sort of swallow that pill.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Absolutely.
remember that all the expectations for your journey are only set by you.
That's fantastic. I love that. Thank you, Bronson. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Is there anything else that we didn't discuss that you would like to bring up?
We've got so much. We're going to do like 8 more of these.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
do
I
it.
mean that we could totally. I could be the first 5 videos on your YouTube channel. How about that?
Yes. I would love that.
This is awesome. No, I mean, there's tons of different things. Just for anybody listening, I want everybody to have confidence in themselves and to trust that their body can do whatever they want it to do. Nobody should have to go through life wondering if. I would rather you make the choice not to do something because you really just don't want to do it than because you can't do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. And now tell everybody where they can find you and when they can pre-order your book. Is that available yet?
Yeah, the pre-order is out right now. Unfortunately, it's only Kindle. So if you're a Kindle reader, you can pre-order it. They'll be available on Kindle September 3rd. The paperback will be available September 3rd. We'll start shipping on September 3rd. And there's a hardcover that's coming as well, hopefully before that will be able to be pre-ordered, but I'm still working the details out there. But if you go to
Awesome.
bodyconfidentbook.com, all the information will be there. It's already getting some great reviews. I got Dr. Ovadia to do the forward for it. There's a ton of good stuff. Right now, it's the feedback I've been getting. I know you give me some feedback, Linda, and some other people are giving me some feedback saying that it's been very insightful in helping them put some of the puzzle pieces together that they never had before. And that's
It's great.
good because that's what I want for people out of it.
It's great. And it's so well written. I appreciate how well written it is. It's very well organized. I definitely recommend the book. And then people can find you on
Yeah, coachbronson.com. Just if you
Okay.
Google Coach Bronson, if everything works right, if I'm not blocked anywhere, then all of my stuff should come up. I got Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, website, all that stuff.
Great. Thank you so much. And yeah, let's do this again. I loved it.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
Thanks.
Thank
Great
you.
to talk to you.